Hello boys and girls, and welcome to Chapter 5, Integers and the Coordinate Plane. Integers are whole numbers that are positive or negative, okay? And the coordinate plane, well, we're talking about grafting and using coordinates to find, to plot the lines, the integers. Some vocabulary we need to become familiar with is right here, such as absolute value, okay? Absolute value is the distance from 0. So for example, 2 and -2 have the same absolute value. Bar notation is a bar that we put over a repeating number when it repeats infinitely. An integer is a whole number, negative, positive. We have negative integers, opposite values such as 4 and -4 are opposites. Positive integers, a positive number. Quadrants are the numbers that we use to plot on a quadrant plane. Rational numbers. Rational numbers are all numbers, negative or positive, including mixed numbers, fractions, and decimals. Repeating decimals and terminating decimal. A repeating decimal, we often use a bar notation for a repeating decimal, and terminating decimal means it comes to an end. We don't need a bar notation. Okay, so please turn to page 345 so we can start on lesson 1, which is integers and graphing. Let's look at the real world link. Here we have a graph. Remember, the first thing we always look at when we look at the graph is the title so that we know what we're looking at. Money left in clothing budget. Okay, so someone has a budget and this is their clothing budget. On this side, the y-axis, remaining money, and on the bottom, the student. So we have a group of, it looks like 4 students. Okay. The bar graph shows the amount of money remaining in the clothing budget of 4 students at the end of 1 month. A value of -$2 means that someone overspent the budget and owes his or her parents $2. Oh my goodness. So we have over here, I think it's Berto. He has $5. Okay, then we have Elia at $2, Jenna at -$2, and Myron at -$8. Question 1. What number represents owing $8? Well, as you can see right there, it's -8. What number represents having $5 left? Oh, when you have $5, you have 5 positive dollars. Who has the most money left? Who owes the most money? Explain. Please copy this as your first key answer. Berto has the most money left because he has a positive balance of $5, as you see up here. Myron has a balance of -$8. Ooh, the negative didn't carry down here, but the negative should go next, right there, okay? -$8, which means he owes his parents that amount. Please copy it exactly as you see it. Okay, a little recap of the lesson. And this should be a review for you. We've learned this in 5th grade and in 4th grade. Use integers to represent data. Positive whole numbers, their opposites, and 0 are called integers. To represent data that are less than a 0, you can use negative integers. A negative integer is written with a negative sign. Data that are greater than 0 are represented by positive integers. And at that point, we don't need to put a positive sign. We just write the natural number. So we have negative integers. You can see all on this side, positive integers. But 0 is neither negative nor positive. It's simply a placeholder. Don't forget that, boys and girls. There's no such thing as positive or -0. Opposites are the numbers that are the same distance from 0 in opposite directions. So +2 and -2 are opposite numbers. They have the same absolute value. That's a word that we looked at in the first slide. They have the same absolute value. Absolute value means the distance from 0. So here you have to jump 1, 2 places, and this way you have to jump 1 or 2 places. That's why they have the same absolute value, but they're not obviously the same value. This is -2 and this is +2. They are very different. Okay, for examples 1, 2, and 3, we need to become familiar with words in order to understand if they're negative or positive expressions. For example, let's look at example 1. We have a 10-yard loss. In a football game, if you lose 10 yards, okay, it needs to be represented with a negative 10. Because it represents a loss, the integer negative 10. In football, the integer 0 represents no yards lost and no yards gained. Okay? 0 yards lost, 0 yards gained. But if you lose 10 yards, it's negative 10. Okay, let's see example 2. 4 inches of rain above normal. This is above. Above, that should ring a bell that is positive. Because it represents above, the integer is 4. In this situation, the integer 0 represents the normal amount of rain. So that would be where our starting point. And question, example 3, a $48 deposit into a savings account. Savings account, boys and girls, means you're saving it. You're going to have this positive balance. You're not spending it. Because it represents an increase, the integer is just simply 48. Okay, it is a positive 48, but we don't have to write the positive sign. In this situation, the integer 0 represents the beginning of the account, the starting balance before you added 48 to it. Please copy it down. The starting balance before adding $48. That's what 0 represents. Okay, let's see. Write an integer for each situation. Explain the meaning of 0 in each situation. Okay, let's write an integer. A gain of $2 a share. So we have plus 2, which we don't have to write the plus 2. But what does 0 mean? 0 is the amount before earning $2 per share. For earning $2 per share, let's say we bought some stocks and I made $2. I gained $2. Well, 0 is whatever the stock was at before I earned $2. So 0 is the amount before earning the $2. It's the difference between the starting point to my earnings. Okay, question 10, B. 10 degrees below 0. We use a negative 10 because it's below 0. In this case, 0 is the freezing point in Celsius, right? When we count by Celsius, anything below 0 will freeze. So 10 degrees below 0, 0 is our starting point. We can count up and it gets warmer. If we can count down from 0, it gets colder into freezing temperatures. All these integers can be graphed. Integers and sets of integers can be graphed on a horizontal and vertical number line. To graph a point on the number line, draw a point on the number line at its location. A set of integers is written using braces such as 2, -9, and 0. And this is what we mean by a number line. Okay, this is our number line. Now remember, you can have this horizontally and you can have it vertically. If you have it horizontally, it will be our x-axis, and vertically will be our y-axis. And then we find the quadrant on the quadrant plane and graph it. But here we're just going to simply put it on the line. There's no y-axis per se. Okay, here we have -7, so we put it on -7. The y coordinate would run right through the 0 like this, okay? And everything on, this is quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Everything in quadrant 2 would be negative, right? Because we're actually, if we're going up, it's always positive. If we're going up, it's always positive, but if we go down, it's negative. So this would be going down and left. So this would be negative, right here. This quadrant 3. Okay, this one's quadrant 4. You might be asked, for example, in example 5, to graph the set of integers, -4, 2, and -1 on a number line. You would first have to draw the number line, and then draw the dots on the location of each integer. We have 0, -1, -4, and 2. See that? You might also be asked to do it vertically, what we can call the y-axis. Draw a number line first, then draw the dots on the location of each integer. We have 0, 2, and -3. 0, 2, and -3. Okay, if you think you can do it, let's try these two. Let's try this one on the horizontal axis and D on the vertical axis in the margin. Please pause the video and try it first, and then you can check your answers. Let's try C first. -3, looks like it's right here. -3, 0, right there. -2, right there. And 4, right there. Done, 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 and done. Okay, let's try D. We first have 8, and there's our 8 right up there. Then we have -6 at the bottom, and then we have -9, which is right between -8 and -10, and then we have positive 5, which is between the 4 and the 6. And there we have it. Okay, here's your guided practice. Please leave it for class so we can do it together as a warm-up. But as always, complete the independent practice. Make sure to check the next page if there are any questions on the next page pertaining to the independent practice. See you in class, everyone.